I just wanted to make another quick video as a footnote / postscript to my previous video to ZJ's girlfriend Heather, whose video regarding her misinformed views about sex-positive feminism I was responding to. There was another thing that I actually forgot to mention, and it was something that really stuck in my craw, but when I was typing out the script it slipped my mind, so I really did feel the need to address this oversight as soon as I realized my mistake. There was a segment where you were talking, Heather, about how sex-positive feminists don't really challenge ideals so much as they add more options for ideals within the confines of the medium. One of the things you mentioned as an example of this, as something that you listed as not previously considered sexy, was fat acceptance. As a person who has been a part of the body acceptance movement for many years, I have to take exception to this mention. The problem lies in terms of conflating the body acceptance movement, which, just like the sex-positive feminism movement, is not a new movement, not by a long shot. What originally started out with the National Association to Aid Fat Americans, which ultimately became the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, has become the larger body acceptance movement, size acceptance, regardless whether you're a metabolic wonder who can inhale an entire aisle of Oreos and not gain an ounce, or you got a honky-tonk badonkadonk and don't give a fuck. This movement is, in fact, actually thanks to, not the porn movement or even pro-porn activists, but rather the perpetual onslaught of images inspired by the self-serving gaze of male advertisers burdening dozens of generations with crippling body image issues and insecurity about themselves that leads 8-year-olds to getting plastic surgery and young women to cut and starve themselves because they can't make the image they see in the mirror match up to the ones they see in the magazines. Incidentally, only about 3% of the people in the world actually have naturally good looks like that, and are naturally that coat hanger style of slender fashion designers prefer so much. Still, that doesn't stop magazines from airbrushing most of J.Lo's ass off the cover or feathering out Jessica Simpson's spots. If you want the honest truth, sex-positive feminism and pornography did not have to do anything to convince people that big asses and big tits were sexy. You know who did that? The painters in the Renaissance period. And even further back, the sculptors sometime between 24,000 and 22,000 BCE who crafted the Venus of Willendorf, a symbol that is representative, academics have proposed, of veneration of this form as a silhouette of fertility, the representation of woman in her purest, truest self, by highlighting the differences women have compared to men, including voluptuous hips and full, heavy breasts. If anything, pornography has done a lot to bring the sexy back, not just for people who fetishize women and men of size, but for those very same performers who make money exploring a facet of sexuality that has, almost more so than LGBT sexuality, been shunned and vilified, if not outright ignored, namely that people of size. Because the thing is, for most people today, if you're fat, you're invisible. Never mind anyone thinking about actually having sex with you. For a great number of people are repulsed at the very thought of fat people having sex. Yet, strangely enough, the average size for women these days is a 16 or an 18. All that paranoid blather about the obesity epidemic aside, the fact is there are fat people out there having sex with each other, and there are skinny people out there who want to fuck fat people and vice versa. Once again, the problem is with visibility. You essentially folded the body acceptance movement into the sex industry and half-assedly tried to link the two together by basically flat-out stating that porn has taught people to think of fat people as sexy, as if before porn came along, nobody could or would have ever considered people of size or size acceptance a sexy thing. No, not at all. It's true. There are fat people out there having all sorts of depraved sex, and some of that sex might even be on camera for the avidly viewing eyes of credit card clutching fanboys out there. But there are also people for whom this is not a fetish or a sex industry fad. For those people, including people like me, this is just our lives and how we want to live them. And, just like any other healthy individual, those lives happen to include sexual expression. If anything, the sex industry industry has offered unconditional sanctuary to performers of size, including Courtney Trouble and April Flores, just to name a couple, who are both very well respected within the feminist porn industry, not only as performers, but also as producers and directors. Where mainstream vanilla media have no problem shunning and shaming people of size while at the same time dismissing and desexualizing them, the porn industry has welcomed us with open arms and open pants. And I think the porn industry is all the better for it. Because, again, visibility is important, not just in body acceptance, but also within the adult industry and the vanilla world at large. Being seen as sexy or as being able to enjoy sex helps to cement the reality that yes, we're here, we're fat, we're fucking, and if you don't like it, well, then you don't have to look. Accepting the notion that all people, regardless of creed, color, ethnicity, and yes, even size, have sex is a key facet to sex positivity that porn has had very little influence over. People have long considered people of size and the voluptuous and even jiggly forms to be arousing and inspiring, which to my mind can only ever be a good thing, especially if it stops women from hating the way their bodies naturally are and accepting themselves as well as others. Because really, if you're as in favor of women being empowered as you claim to be, shouldn't you start with the one woman you know best? Yourself? I know I'd certainly like to think so. I'd get into the way you take a swipe or two at the BDSM communities and submissives, but I think I've given you more than enough homework to do, don't you agree? Anyway, thanks for your time and attention. Peace.